Dota 3 is just around the corner, so out of a total of like 10 builds that are nearly done that I could release a week before Dota 3, which hero is pretty much guaranteed to be completely ignored just like every other patch in history. It's probably best that I mention I take Warlock mid. Now this is the bit where I say hear me out. Hear me out. Warlock is a hero, I think. I've seen him once or twice. His entire story is that he liked reading books. He was like this Indiana Jones or Lara Croft, raiding tombs and temples to find old books. Just straight up, just old books. In his lore, there's a line that's literally just, as an afterthought, he carved a staff of dreadwood and summoned into it a captive spirit from outer hells. Like, summoning a golem is just something else he does. So what even is the limit to his power? Well, turns out pretty much that. I guess these books he's finding are just like copies of Dr. Zeus's stories. I wonder what would happen if Warlock showed Timbersaw a copy of the Lorax. Warlock is picked when you like being so far away from the middle of the fight that you just start getting ping delay from your cast range. So just to put this in perspective, your average spell has 1,200 cast range in both upheaval and your ult has 600 radius on top of that. You can stand at the Radiant tier 2 and stun and slow people trying to take your tier 1. And as such, his counters pop up really fast. Just like every other team fighter, he's countered by split pushes or people who skirt around boundaries of fights. To be specific, Warlock's tier 1 counters would probably go Broodmother and Furion, as well as Clinks, Weaver, Ricky, heroes that get to the back of fights to kill the supports first. Brood and Furion both have mass summons that eat up the Fatal Bonds charges too, but we'll get into that later. Tier 2 are heroes who just burst down your poor golem. Yet again, we get Clinks, as well as Alchemist, Slark, Troll, Sven. In general, you have no escape, and the one heal you do have takes about 12 seconds to fully activate. Warlock's robe is hiding the fact that he has 3-inch legs that he hobbles on. He doesn't run from fights very well. And tier 3 heroes are just dudes who peace out and leave. On the flip side, the tier 1 of heroes who Warlock counters goes first and foremost, Chaos Knight. Poor guy. I feel like I just say CK is countered by everything these days. The reason he's countered is obviously because of his damage output being directly related to his summons. And you know, you kill the summons when you deal damage to him. But yeah, Warlock also counters heroes who blink in to initiate. Good luck catching both the Warlock, his sniper teammate, and the frontliners in one blink axe call. But something that is barely ever talked about is that Warlock counters people who hide behind tanky frontliners too. A Fatal Bonds that connects a Centaur to a support CM, well, that kills the CM. So what's fun with this is using Fatal Bonds on someone in the Roche pit, having them escape and then just killing Roshan. I don't really think there are many heroes who have over 25% of Roshan's at least 8,000 health. Like so. You can't have a wombo combo lineup without your boy Warlock in the mix. Just with Fatal Bonds alone, he can turn any nuke into, well, a nuke, I guess, but like an actual nuke. So obviously, in theory, Mirana, Zeus, Queen of Pain, Lich, Disrupt, all of them, like AoE burst damage heroes are beautiful with them, but everybody talks about Fatal Bonds combos. The one thing that gimps Warlock is that his golem is so slow. All this damage and it's countered by a brisk walk. So instead of focusing on pairing him up with people who burst, pair him up with heroes that give attack and movement speed as well. Ogre Magi's up there with Bloodlust, Track, Warcry from Sven, and Abaddon's Curse of Avernus, to name a few. I want to mention something else that's really tiny, considered by most to be completely insignificant, but is in reality really important and could shape the future of Dota. And no, it's not my demon staff. Feels bad, man. Hey guys, did you like that bit where I memed in real life? I just said the thing that you guys say when you type, but I actually said it like with my voice and my vocal cords and all that. I'm gonna call up my mum and my dad right now and tell them what I did, and I'm gonna see if they're proud of me. But first, let's quickly whiz past all of this stuff. You can subscribe to the build, here's the build, we go mid or offlane maybe. Okay. Fatal Bonds might be the most underappreciated spell in the game. Nobody talks about it. On the very rare occasions Warlock is mentioned, it's usually all about his golem. But his golem's dumb and ugly, and I hate it because he reminds me of me. Screw what I said earlier. Warlock is Fatal Bonds, and it's for the best that we all educate ourselves on one of the best spells in the game. And just like Disruptor's Glimpse, it by itself does absolutely no damage. Fatal Bonds links up to 6 units together, and they all take 25% of whatever linked unit is taking damage-wise. So far so good, but the damage is spread in the same type it was dealt. If I get Dragon Slaved, all of my teammates take 25% of that in magic forms, so the pipe holders take less, the BKB users take nothing. With this in mind, all 25 seconds of the bond can be used to cancel a victim's blink dagger constantly, and Fatal Bonds obviously doesn't return damage dealt from other people's Fatal Bonds. That would be silly. Do 400 damage to one person, the other victims take 100 damage each, but then take 6 instances of 25 damage of that, and on and on and on, calculated in the span of one in-game tick so that everybody dies instantly. Obviously that can't be done. But it used to! You used to be able to do it, and it was amazing, and it didn't get patched because nobody knew. Nobody played Warlock. Fatal Bonds shares 25% of the absolute number of damage before amps or reductions are taken into account. If Dazzle is attacked for 1 million damage while he's under Shallow Grave, sure, he doesn't die, he gets to 1 health, but his teammates all take 250,000 damage each, and very much do die. Fatal Bonds unfortunately doesn't have any priority on linking with these heroes. It's literally just the target and the closest units to him in a 700 unit range, so be careful with avoiding that creep wave casually striding through your combo. Shadow Word is the best conventional mana to health spell in the game. 150 mana for 540 health is 3.6 health per mana spent, and in turn it is also one of the best damage spells in the game, just a little under Sand King's Sandstorm, which in itself is a whopping 5,000 damage nuke if they stand in it for the entire 50-second duration. Upheaval is certainly one of the most frightening spells for people suffering from haphophobia, I think, which is the fear of being grabbed and groped and all that. Here is some unrelated footage. Upheaval's biggest misconception is that the slow is more effective the longer the target is in it. Not the case at all. The slow is more effective the longer it's channeled. After 3.5 seconds at level 4, simply walking into the spell is an immediate 84% slow, the maximum slow it can give. Because the slow is exponential through the levels, the biggest jump is from level 1 to level 2. 12.5 seconds to full slow drops down to 6.5 seconds. A massive decrease. For this reason, we leveled it to 2 and then just completely ignore it. Do you remember a time when Warlock's golems could be instantly purged and eliminated with Diffusal Blade? Why was that an option? Thankfully, we're long past that stage. Chaotic Offering. It's good. It's a big old golem. They are classed as heroes for the most part, so they can't be dominated by Helm, enchanted by Enchantress, and they can be Shallow Graved and Static Linked for some reason. And man, is that sound effect satisfying. But like, you know that. Warlock's golems themselves have 2 passives. One is Flaming Fist that effectively adds a 60 damage pure cleave to the target and all units in a 300 radius, and Permanent Immolation, which is basically a radiance for the same radius. At what point does a fact become wrong? Let's say I put my shoe on my foot and my friend puts his on his head. He then starts convincing everyone in the world that shoes go on heads, and why not? They can keep your head quite warm and help a great deal with headbutting people. Within a few years, the entire world puts their shoes on their heads, and I'm the only one who doesn't. At that point, even though I know in my heart of hearts that shoes go on feet, am I the only idiot who's wrong, or is the entire world wrong but me? I go Warlock mid. I build a Fairy Fire, a Clarity, a Null Talisman. Other people don't go this build, and who's to say which is right or wrong? I win games and you win games. After that, I go Bottle, Boots, and rush into a Midas. Warlock's already totally capable with no items, so why not use this time to plan for a time when he isn't? Late game. Being that Warlock is a massive bookworm, it makes sense we'd pick up tomes whenever they're available. That was a joke that I wrote down and then while I was editing, I was like, this is still good. I'm gonna keep this. And I'm getting to the bit where I'm recording the dialogue. I mean, saying the dialogue out loud to you right now because I'm in your computer. And at no point did it occur to me that maybe this joke was bad. Core items are totally case by case. Ags is great, Refresh is great, and yet I seem to be the only person saying, don't get them every game. If the enemy team pops your golems immediately, don't itemize towards more golems. Whoa! Situationally, a nice thick Rod of Atos is good, more slows still without the need to be neophytes. Force Staff's always a good pickup, just like Glimmer Cape is to every hero with channeling spells. Sheepstick's always great, Oxterine maybe has some uses, I don't know. Shiva's is sometimes pretty good. Just, I mean, you're an int hero, do int stuff. Just like in general, Warlock is a really good gateway into micro heroes. The make or break keyboard shortcut is select all other units, which is in your options somewhere. I have mine bound to my 5th mouse button. Pressing it deselects Warlock and selects his golem, or like illusions maybe if you have them at the time, and you will use this a lot while you're upheavaling and your golem is beating on your enemy. Warlock is up there with the best of the best early game supports. Level 1, all he has is damage, and in mid lane that's the same all the way till level 6. Earlier than that, you wouldn't really have the opportunity to stand perfectly still to channel upheaval. So don't contest runes, block the creeps, and be free to farm mid to your heart's content. The one and only reason we take Warlock mid is that he has nigh unstoppable amounts of harass with the click of 2 buttons. Shadow Word is a 180 damage nuke at level 1, a 300 damage nuke at level 2, it's dirt cheap to cast, and it also heals. And because you get more health than you spend mana, we can forego tangos and get 1 or maybe 2 clarities for more efficiency. The entire time I've been talking, Eclipse been playing of me just straight up free farming against an OD. Free farming against an OD, you probably didn't even think you could. I didn't know I could until I did it just then. In later 5v5 teamfights, the one thing that I could say to elevate you above the rest is just remember you have Fatal Bonds. It has absolutely no backswing, so use it on anyone before the golem drops. And that's basically it. Warlock is a pretty simple hero when you break him all down, and he's the perfect hero for the support player to transition into trying his hand at like Meepo or Arc Warden. But we here at The Only Way to Play don't actually condone that sort of behavior. This episode was brought to you by Brandon Koo, Christian Rudder, Freekill, Chris, 1996, Pearson Newborn, Bill Hunt, The Science Cunt, Mr. Revolut, Does It Look Like I Know What a JPEG Is? Psych Out 40s, Shadow Sweetheart, Jeff Miller, Squirty McFlirty, Jacob Miller, Aaron Tang, XZ, Grumpy Bear, Philip Cornelius, and Turd Ferguson 67, Evil, Motherfucking Jellyfish, Michael Robb, Kaiser Wilhelm, Orslovich, Martin Thoreau, Parker Bukowski, Red, Lord Herbert, Ninny Bottoms, Max of S2D, Snuggly Wuggums, John Boo, Noble Chernobyl, Yavis McGee, Russell Talbot, Milo Cut, Booty Souffle, Wings, Tsunami Shadow, Rit Mitchell, SI Efrat, Epica X Edge, hashtag Yowie is life, Meme Arrow, Mental Supports, Anthony Silverstone, Sam Goodberry, Redless, Smitty, Werben, Yerben, Jaegerman, Jensen, he was number 1, Mahad King, Kerrison, Nika the Commie, Zeno Penumbra, 420, Headcraft 27, and Chestnut. Also, yeah, I reused it. What are you gonna do about it?